Hello and welcome to the Collecting Heroes podcast. I'm your host JD, the collector of collectors, and this is the podcast where I interview pop culture collectors from around the world. I've been going quite international, like with Germany and Holland and Australia and other places, but I'm going back to the US where a lot of my guests are from, this time to Florida, to have a bit of a magical talk, I guess you could say, and that'll give you a hint to part of what we're talking about, because my guest, his name is Ryan Mondics. He is from Florida, just down the road from Disney World, I'm told, actually. And he runs a blog called Disney Pins Blog. He's a Disney pins collector. Ryan, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. We were talking obviously a little bit before we started recording. I said that I could geek out for over a lot of time about Disney in particular and Disneyland and everything. But obviously the reason I got you on is because you are a pin collector. I interview a lot of collectors. And the way I'd like to start off is usually to find out how people started their collections, where the passion come from. You mentioned that you started around 12 or more years ago, I think. Tell me the story behind that.
Yeah, so it's been about 12 years that I've been collecting and trading Disney pins, but I've had the website for about 10 years. My parents used to take me to Walt Disney World when I was little. I didn't live in Florida. I didn't grow up in Florida. I actually grew up in Pennsylvania. So when I would go down the trips, I would always see the pins. They caught my eye. But then I did a solo trip when I was in college with I actually went to a Disney Institute class. I don't even know if they have them anymore. But when I was down there on the solo trip, I went past the main pin store, which was downtown Disney at the time. Now it's Disney Springs.
Yeah.
And whenever I passed the store, I walked in and I saw these little pieces of art. That's what I call pins, little pieces of art. And they caught my eye. And when I got home from that trip, I was just like, I was hooked. And I was doing lots of research on pins, just trying to find out all about the hobby. And I found that a lot of the information was kind of all over the place. That you had, Disneyland Paris, they had their stuff online. The parks had their own website back in the day. And Shop Disney, which is like the online Disney store, they had a couple pins at the time, and just the information was all over the place. So that's when I decided to start the blog to have a central location for all of the pin news.
Had you run a blog before, or it's just you're just like, this is something I'm interested in, and I'm gonna learn along the way?
Yeah, I did actually. My background, I went to college for management and marketing, so I did have some background on websites. And before Disney Pins blog, I actually it's kind of nerdy, but I'm sure your audience would appreciate it. But I actually had a website for aquariums and like fish care.
Oh, okay.
I was really into aquariums. I still love aquariums, but yeah, I had this website that would just be all about aquariums and fish care and fish tanks and all that stuff.
So before you were collecting pins, you were collecting fish.
I had lots of aquariums. But so once I got the idea for Disney Pins blog, I actually ended up shutting that site down, or I sold it. I think I sold it for like $750. It was pretty cheap at the time. So I got rid of that, and I just put all my focus and time into the pins.
Perfect. And that's it's like a part-time thing for you. Obviously, it's not your main income stream. Like it's really a hobby and a passion project, much like
exactly
this podcast.
Yep. Yeah. So my full-time job, I was really into the marketing. I worked in the advertising agency for about 8 years. And now my full-time job, it's mended more with Disney Pins blog. I'm a project management on the theme park souvenir side. So I do deal with pins in my full-time job as well.
Oh, wait, so you work for Disney?
No, I don't work for Disney. I work for one of the suppliers of theme parks in Florida.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
And are they a supplier of Disney pins as well?
Yes. One of them. Also Universal, SeaWorld.
Perfect. Wow, you've got the inside track. So
Yeah, a little bit.
was it the pin blog that helped get you across the line into that business?
It did actually. Yeah, it did.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
When
My
you
current
first,
boss,
sorry.
my current boss at the time actually found me through Disney Pins blog.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's it's such a it's like destiny, really.
yeah.
You're meant
It's
to
seriously
have
like
this.
it all worked out. So
Perfect, perfect. When you started the blog, was this something that you found you had a lot of people reaching out, asking a lot of questions, or offering a lot of photographs, or items of
mhm.
information for the blog as well? How does the information flow work for that?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was pretty slow. You know, I started the website, and then I'd say a couple weeks later, I started a Facebook page, the Instagram, and Twitter. And it was all very, very slow. You know, I was just
Yeah.
grinding the first year or two, very
Mhm.
slow. But Twitter, actually, I became friends with a lot of people. You know, this is 10 years ago on Twitter, so it's very different than what it is today. um, so you know, I became friends with a lot of people on there, and I actually met this lady who I'm still good friends with now. She lived in Orlando, and I started the website when I was still in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So it was difficult for me to get all of the information from the parks whenever I wasn't living here. So I had her and a couple other people, some friends in California, that would you know, send me photos from the parks. And yeah, but in the beginning, it was very, very slow. It was difficult. I was like taking images from eBay. I was like trying to do everything to get the news
Oh.
up. It was, yeah, it was difficult. But now it's just, it's crazy. Like I have, you know, multiple people throughout the day just sending me releases, and half the time I already saw them, and people just keep sending me stuff. It's like, it's crazy now.
Well, I mean, you are, it seems like a one stop shop for that information when it comes to releases. You also have your own podcast.
Yep.
And just so people know, I'm not sponsored by Disney Pins Blog by any means. I reached out to Ryan to be on the show.
All right.
So this isn't here to plug your business, but just because I'm really curious on how it all started. But you've also
Yeah.
got the podcast, which is a great little resource for people who are interested in collecting and just want to hear about the latest releases. I had a listen. It's nice, bite-sized, sort of 10-minute or so
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah, I try to keep those, you know, quick and short. It's really just me regurgitating all of the info that's already up on the website.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of people that come up to me and they love the podcast, so I keep doing it. A lot of people, they don't. It's crazy. You think everyone's on social media, but I have people that you know, don't have Instagram. They don't want to go to the website, and they just look forward to that podcast every week to get the pin news. So
Nice.
yeah, people, you know, they get their information all different ways.
And how many hours would you say that you put in? I mean, if someone wanted to start a passion project like this and run
Mhm.
a, a website, a Facebook, Instagram, and a podcast, how many hours do you reckon you've probably now streamlined it? I'm sure you've found easier ways to work. But
Yeah,
how many hours would you say it takes out of your week?
it's a lot. You know, I basically tell people I have two full-time jobs. Right now, my job during the day, I work from home, so it allows me to like kind of
Yeah.
do both jobs at the same time.
Okay.
But when I first started Disney Pins Blog, I was going into an office every single day. So on my lunch break, I would do a little bit of work for Disney Pins Blog. But as soon as I got home from work after I had dinner, I would basically work until 2 a.m. And I did that Monday through Friday. The
Oh wow.
weekends, I dedicated all of my time to the website, and I did that for probably, I don't know, 5 to 6 years straight.
Wow.
It was a lot. It was exhausting. But now that I'm you know, working from home, it is a little easier, and I do have people that help me, um, you know, with blog posts and in our newsletter, and yeah.
Oh, that's
So
good. Well, I mean, when you talk about that grind mentality, you really were putting in the hours.
yeah,
That's
it was a
definitely
lot. Like
difficult.
for me in the beginning, it was just I kind of wanted the information just for myself. That's why I built the thing. But then once you get people following you and interacting with you daily, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to let them down. I want to make
Yeah.
sure I get all the news up.
Uh-huh. I feel the same way, like with the podcast. Like, if on the rare occasion where I've not been able to put out an episode on a Wednesday every week,
Hmm.
because I try and come out weekly during the season. If there is a gap, I'm always very hard on myself if I miss that deadline.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's out of my control. Sometimes it's the person I'm recording with has to reschedule, and that's fine.
Right.
Life happens, but I always feel I get it. You feel
Yeah.
like I have to be there. I have to show up. There's people counting on
Right.
listening. I have people that
Again,
message me like the day after I record. I have people that message me and they give me updates that they listened and how much they enjoyed it, or what, giving me feedback, and that's great. And so, but I
you're
completely
dedicated to your
understand.
passion.
Yeah, and there is that passion aspect. If you
Right.
didn't have a passion for it, you wouldn't put in that many hours, right?
Exactly. You got to love it.
Yeah. Let's go back to the collecting part, though. So the pin collecting, I'm always a bit jealous, actually, of Disney pin collectors because of the fact that you see, I've obviously got a bit of a mess going on behind me at the moment because I'm reorganizing the Batcave. But it would be much easier to reorganize a pin collection, I imagine, and move that around because of the size of them,
Yeah.
as opposed to hundreds of Funko Pop statues, Lego sets, and everything.
Yeah.
How many pins are you up to now after 12 years of collecting?
Yeah. um, that is one good thing, though, the size. I've always said that. I'm glad I picked something to collect that's small.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, honestly, I lost track after, I don't know, like 1,500 pins. I want to say I'm around like 3,000 or so. I have
Wow.
two. So behind my podcast, my background, that you saw those cork boards back there.
Yep.
Those are two 8-foot cork boards. So I have 16 feet of cork boards that are basically completely full of pins. And then I have other books and stuff floating around. But yeah, personal collection, I would say, is close to 3,000. But then I also have the store as well, if you want to count that. There's probably another, I don't know, 2,000 to 3,000 pins sitting in inventory that need to go into the store.
Wow. Well, I know that you're one short on that inventory, or maybe not short, but you're one less, I should say, because I
Yeah.
actually recently purchased something off the blog. I was looking through and
Oh,
I
did
was
you?
at the store, and I was
Oh,
like,
thank you.
okay, I've got to get that pin. So I bought a Dumbo pin. So if you saw a Dumbo pin recently go out,
Yeah.
it's in like with this, it's the circle one with like the circus font on it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was an exclusive. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yeah. So exactly, it was one
Great.
in 500 or something, I think.
Yep, yep. Oh, yeah, I have it right here. Here it is. This one, right?
That's the one. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect. Got Dumbo, got all the colors on it. It's perfect.
yeah.
My girlfriend loves Dumbo. That's one of her favorite
Oh, nice.
movies. So I purchased it for her because she also collects pins as well and brooches. A lot of pop culture related brooches, that she's been getting, and she does a lot of dressing up with them. When we've
Yeah,
gone to the parks in the past, she would
nice.
have specific pins and brooches that she would wear as well. And
Cool.
that was where I first learnt about pins and pin collecting, was during 2018, my first ever trip to Disney Park. I went to Disneyland in Anaheim,
Nice.
and we purchased our first pins there, and saw that this whole collecting community that was in there in the parks. We were actually watching the videos prior to going because I was learning about the parks and finding out what to do while we're there, what activities. And then I saw that pin collecting. I was like, "Oh, this looks really cool." And so
Yeah.
we went and bought some pins, and then we were trading them with like the cast members as well. I think that's really cool. Can you tell me a bit about your experience trading pins? Because I think that's one of the coolest parts of the
Yeah.
community, actually, is that back and forth trading aspect that happens.
Oh, totally. And that's what started the whole pin trading community was, back in the year, I think it was 1999 is when they introduced it at the parks. That was the whole aspect of it, was that, guest to cast member interaction. Unfortunately, whenever COVID hit, pin trading the parks did die down a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it's back now. They do have the pin boards up in the parks. Cast members aren't really carrying the lanyards anymore like they used to.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think it should be back hopefully soon. But unfortunately, pin trading at the parks was better in the past. Right now, you will find a lot of, they call them scrapper pins or fake pins on the boards.
Oh.
So a lot of people will just trade with guests instead. You'll still have guests that bring their pin books into the parks and will trade at the pin stores. One good thing is, though, a new hidden Mickey set came out a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So people have been on the hunt for those. Best place to go is probably the resorts, all the hotels. They seem to get the new hidden Mickey pins first, and those are real. So that's one fun part of pin trading in the parks right now.
When you say going to the hotels and resorts, are you talking about with the cast members there, or the people that work at the resorts, like doing
Yeah,
exchanges
the
with
cast
them?
members there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so don't walk through the halls knocking on doors asking people if they have got pins to trade.
No, don't do that. Yeah, most hotels though have pin boards usually in the lobby, or you can ask them at the front desk. They'll have a lot of them will have pin books behind the counters.
Okay, cool. One of the things I loved about when I was trading is the secret pins that a lot of the cast members would have. So they would have, half a dozen or more pins on a board, or hanging off their lanyard, and then they would have one that was behind.
Yeah,
And
I always
they
like
were
that.
like, "Do you want the secret pins? Do you want to choose the secret pins?" And it's you've got to say yes and trade up front to find out.
Yeah,
And there was always a little risk and reward, but usually the reward was pretty good on those pins.
right. Yeah, I always like doing the hidden one.
Yeah. So that's really cool, and I love the hidden Mickeys that they put on the little pins and everything as
Yeah,
well.
they're super popular. Like people still love hidden Mickeys. Anytime a new set comes out, and whenever we post the sheet on the website, that always blows up. And any type of collector like just still loves hidden Mickeys. Like they were meant for, basically new people to get into the pin trading hobby, but now you'll still have collectors that have been in the hobby for such a long time still trying to get all the hidden Mickey pins. And I don't know, it's cool to see. It's a nice program, and it's been running for a really long time.
What's your favorite type of pin for you to collect?
So I mainly focus on attractions. My biggest collection would be Tower of Terror and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, nice.
Those are probably my biggest attractions, and then I have a bunch of side collections. It kind of gets out of control, but yeah, those are my top two.
Would you say the types of pins that they have for Tower Terror or Caribbean, which one is the better attraction that you find the pins for?
Well, they make more for pirates, that's for sure.
Yeah,
because you got the movies as well, so there's a lot more for pirates. But Disneyland Paris just came out with an awesome collection for Tower of Terror, and I actually bought them all through a friend. I had to get them. I just did a video on my YouTube channel actually about them. But yeah, that collection is very nice.
actually, that was going to be another follow-up question that I had. So Tower Terror has multiple versions around the world,
Right.
and you've got also the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, which was a retheme of that.
Yep.
Do you include that in your collection? No, you exclude that. That doesn't count.
No, stick with the original. Luckily, it's still here in Florida, so that's good.
What about Japan? I mean, I'm actually, I've made mention of this before in the podcast, but I'm actually going back to Japan. I went there in 2019, and that was my second Disney park that I ever visited. And I'm going back. My partner, we're going back. We're actually going to do 4 days in the parks this time.
Wow, that's awesome.
3 last time. We're going to do 4 this time, 2 in each park. But do you get a lot of the Asian exclusives, like like from Hong Kong, Shanghai, Japan?
Yeah. So those ones a little more difficult to buy. You got to either get them through a reseller over there or someone through trading. But yeah, if it's a collection that I'm really into, I will definitely get the international parks as well.
Well, when I'm there, I'm happy to have a look. If you've got something you need me to keep an eye out for, let me know. I'm heading off at the end of October, so let me know before the end of October if there's something that's been released you want me to try and look out for, I'm happy to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, send me some photos of the pins there. I'm always interested in their pins because they don't do Disney pin trading there per
Yeah.
se. It's like more like Disney pin collecting, and
Uh-huh.
they're really not associated with the pin team that handles, America online, the Asian parks in Paris. They're kind of up on their own little island, but they do have some nice pins.
Is there a park in particular that you think has the best pins?
That's a good question. Paris does have a lot of nice pins. They
Yeah.
don't release as many as the US, but their quality is nice. Their designs are very unique. Shanghai and Hong Kong, they do a lot of Duffy Bear and Friends. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to be into Duffy Bear for their pins.
Yeah.
That's almost all they do. But yeah, I don't know. I like the U.S. parks. I particularly like the Florida parks, where I'm at here. So
When you decided to move to Florida, was it in particular because of the fact that you had to be near a park?
yeah, I always knew I wanted to be here. I wanted to be close to Disney. I like the weather. And whenever I got this new job, they wanted me to relocate. So it was just the perfect timing, with running Disney Pins blog and where I was at in my life, everything just kind of fell into place. So I made the move.
And would you say you are a weekly visitor, almost daily? Like, how often do you get to go to the park?
Definitely weekly. I'd say a couple of times a week. Yeah, I always go every Tuesday morning because that's when the pin release is. And then I'll try to hit up maybe one night during the week or on the weekends.
Wow, I'm so jealous. So jealous whenever I hear people that live close to the park, but then obviously that get the chance to go. I watch a lot of Disneyland YouTubers.
Nice.
I watch. There's what's it called? So there's I'm trying to remember the channels names now. So there's a couple of different channels that I follow. One of them is because I'm a bit of a foodie in my spare time as well. I love food. So there's Magical World of Food. They're quite a popular channel. So I watch a lot of their stuff. I watch the is it called TDR Explorer, who does the
Oh yes,
Japan parks
I've
as
heard of that.
well. Yeah, I follow him. And then there's also what's the other one? Fresh Baked, who as well
Oh yes,
is
yeah.
another popular YouTuber who I've been following for years. And I found them all when I was doing research for the parks, and then just subscribed, and I keep watching all. So you said Tuesday is when they do the pin releases
Yep.
as well. So every Tuesday there's a new pin release.
Yeah, every single Tuesday. Almost, yeah. I'd say about 95%. There's always a new pin release on Tuesday. It used to be Thursday, and then a couple of years ago they switched it to Tuesday. I don't know why, but yeah, every single Tuesday, Disneyland and Walt Disney World have their weekly pin releases. And then occasionally you'll have throughout the weeks, new open edition pins come out. Those are always random days. It could be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever. And then you'll have those event specific pins. So if a new attraction is opening up, like Tron just opened up at Magic Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
So there was new pins there for that. And then the festivals at Epcot, you'll have collections of pins for those. So yeah, there's lots and lots of pins every single day, basically.
Would you say that every Tuesday when you go for these releases that you end up picking up a pin? Do you have self control now where you're like, no, I'm gonna once a month or only for certain releases, or do you always walk out like I don't know how it happens, but every time I walk out, there's always a pin in my hand?
No, yeah, I actually always buy every single pin. They're not for me. I mean, occasionally I will keep some, but I buy them to do, to get photos, sometimes videos of the pins.
Yeah.
And whatever I don't want, I just put in the store. So.
And the store, like you said, you've got a couple thousand on sort of to put in the store. I've noticed there's only sort of like I think looks like less than maybe 50 in the store, less than 100 in the store.
There's about 400 in there.
Is it that many? Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
think it was that many.
Yeah, well, for you might have just been looking at the Disney Pins blog exclusive pins.
That's probably what it was.
There's maybe 50 in there of those.
That's probably what it was then.
Yeah, but then
Okay.
there's other categories of just there's a main Disney pins category. There's Loungefly. There's Artland. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, of course. Lounge. I didn't even think about Loungefly as well. Well,
yeah.
the
Loungefly they pump out the pins too.
it's just funny. There's so many different pins. I actually purchased a Batman pin the other day. That was just made by an artist from the UK.
Oh, nice.
Just does their own custom pins, and I was like, this is a really cool pin. I'm gonna get it. Just it's essentially the Batman emblem from Michael Keaton's Batsuit. Um,
Cool.
and it's really cool. And it arrived, and my girlfriend's like, "I thought you don't collect pins." And I was like,
Got the
"Nothing."
bug.
Like for certain things, I might, but yeah,
Yeah.
I tended to pick up a couple pins when we're at the parks, and occasionally if something catches my eye, I'll grab a pin as well. Actually, the pins that I got when I was there in 2018 were Star Wars pins. I was focusing on
Nice.
because I love Star Wars, so I bought a lot of Star Wars stuff at the park. So I got
Cool.
and you may be familiar, but obviously you've seen thousands of pins. It's probably trying to remember everyone's not easy, but they
Yeah.
were specific uh, helmet pins, which was the Stormtrooper,
Mm.
Darth Vader, and I believe Boba Fett as well. I got, and they're all done in the Day of the Dead design as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
yeah, and they're about. I'd say they're probably about 2 inches, maybe three
Yeah.
inches big. I quite like the design. I just thought they were beautiful design. When you talk about little pieces of art, these did look like little pieces of art. So
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm going to have the lanyard adorned, these are great to have on there. And also because I had been planning, and I've spoken about this on past episodes as well, but I had originally had a trip to go to San Diego Comic Con in 2020.
Oh,
I had tickets for that, and unfortunately, because it got
dang.
cancelled, pandemic and everything. So
Yeah.
I was supposed to be going after Galaxy's Edge had first opened up. I wanted to go to Galaxy's Edge. So my
Yeah.
goal is to get back one day to the States so that I can go to Galaxy's Edge, and I'll
Nice.
definitely be wearing those pins with pride when I go back as well.
Yeah. Was that your last time at Disney in 2018?
So 2018 was when I went to Anaheim. That was my last time I went to one in the States. In 2019 we went to Japan. That was my first. That
Oh,
was the
yes.
second trip
Okay.
I did. Yeah. So we'll be back in Japan this year, and then I'm hoping next year we can get over to the States, and then I'm thinking 2025 going back to Japan again because they've actually just announced the Star Wars celebration is going to be in Japan
Yes.
in
I did
2025.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking. I said to my girlfriend, I was like, I think we might have to actually put a third Japan trip in for 2025. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see, we'll see. And it's in April, so it should be roughly in the midst of cherry blossom season, depending
Oh, beautiful.
on how it goes as
Is
well.
that far from you? How long is that flight?
It's a direct flight. It's about 9.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got unfortunately the flights we got this time because we had flight vouchers from left over from 2020 we used. So with Virgin, who we were flying with, we had to do a multi-stop. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a stopover, which makes it, I think takes around 15 hours or something now with the stopovers.
Wow.
But if we get a direct flight, it's less than 10. It's like 9.5 hours. For going to LA, that's 14 about 14 hours direct as
Wow.
well from
Okay.
Sydney to LA. So that's usually quite. And then you've got the time difference because you leave in the morning, and then the time zone changes, and then you
Yeah.
land literally. So I think when we flew out in 2018, I want to say we flew out around 9 a.m. in the morning or something like that, and then we landed 6 a.m. in the morning of the same day in the
Wow.
States.
That's so
It
weird.
messes with your head a little bit because
Yeah.
we live in the future here as
Yeah.
well
Right.
with the time zones.
That's wild.
Have you got to travel outside to parks outside of America?
I have not. Yeah, I want to so bad. That's always been a a bucket list of mine to visit every Disney park in the world. But yeah, so far I've only been to, obviously here in Disneyland.
Okay.
So,
What would be top of your list if you had to pick one?
probably Tokyo. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's a
I
great
heard it's
park.
the best
It's
park.
huge
So
too, absolutely huge. But I say huge because my first experience was at Anaheim. You have Disney World, which is massive in its own right. So
yeah, it's
it might
crazy.
not be as massive for you. You might turn up and go, "Oh, this is par for the course." Price-wise. But Disney Sea is amazing. I definitely think you should go and experience Disney Sea because it's
Yeah,
an
I've heard
experience.
great things. So I really want to go.
Yeah, yeah. When you stored them, so one of the things I noticed with people collecting the pins and trading the pins in the park when I saw that in 2018 was the folders that they have them and the cases they have them in. The only way I can describe them for someone who hasn't seen them, I guess, would be if you're familiar with the old CD cases, with the big
Hmm.
zip up CD cases that you would have 100 CDs in. That's what it reminded me of with the
Yep,
pages.
exactly.
I was really excited when I saw people with those in the parks, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, like that really dedication if you're carrying that around because they probably weigh a ton once you fill them
Oh,
with pins as
it's
well.
yeah, it's very heavy. Disney used to make those books back in the day. It is exactly like what you're talking about. You know, the old CD books. I don't know if you guys I don't know if you guys have these there or not, but back in the day, did you ever have Trapper Keepers?
Trapper keepers,
We
no.
had those in elementary school. I don't know if it was just like a thing here or not, but that's kind of what it looked like as well. Like a big book you put your notebooks in, and it was like a 3 ring, little thing you put your papers and everything.
Oh, a
But yeah,
binder we would call them here.
okay, yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's what
similar,
you. Yeah, similar thing. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, Disney used to make those back in the day, and then they stopped. And now there's two companies, two different companies that kind of started their own business around these pin books. One's called Pinfolio. They're here in Florida, and the other one's called Kraken Trade. They're in California, and they both make these pin books for you can store your pins in.
Do you find how much do they weigh? Because like as I said, they probably weigh a ton by the time you get them.
Yeah, I would say I don't know. Depends on how many pins you put in there. Like 20, 30, 40 pounds each.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's quite hefty. And
yeah.
do, do you display? I know you said you've got the pin boards, but for the majority of them, do you put them into those folders as well?
No, actually, I don't use any of those books. Only when I'm going to pin events if I'm trading, I'll take books then. But I like to display my pins. I like to see them. I don't want to
Yeah,
put them in books and put them in a closet somewhere. So that's why I got these huge cork boards because I like to go in there and look at them. And when I have friends over or parties, everyone likes to gather around and look at them all. So it's a cool conversation piece.
do you have anyone that ever comes through and they're like, I remember that pin or I've got that pin? Or is there a certain pin that stands out to people that they're like jealous when they see it in your collection as well?
Yeah, I would say the most comments I get are on. I have a really rare Splash Mountain series, and that ride now is
Yeah,
going away,
yeah.
being rethemed. But yeah, I have their profiles of the characters of Splash Mountain from Walt Disney Imagineering. They're rare. I think they're like limited edition of 250 or 300, and I have the whole series. So people always comment on those.
Wow, I was actually really disappointed to see the Splash Mountain going because when we went in 2018, it was actually closed. They were doing work on it, so I
uh,
never got to actually ride Splash Mountain when I was there.
Dang.
Yeah, so it's a bit disappointing, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's still in Tokyo, I think, right?
I think they might. I'm trying to remember now. I'd have to go back and
Yeah.
double check.
I'm
I
pretty
know
sure
that.
they still have one there, and I don't think that one's changing as of now.
Yeah, yeah. I have to go back and double check. I know that they have. Um, I'm trying to remember all the rides there. I'll have to double check. I
Yeah.
can't remember. I know that they had the it's like a country bear kitchen or something along those lines that we
Uh,
dined at while we were there, but I couldn't remember if they had the Splash Mountain ride or I think they might have something similar, but I'm not sure. I don't.
Never heard
Yeah,
of
as I said, I'd have to double check. I can't remember off the top of
it.
my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it is there, I'll definitely have to go and write it in remembrance of the one that's
Right,
gone as well.
for sure.
Would you also say when you're displaying them? Obviously, we spoke about the space. The fact that they're smaller, and you're a bit lucky in that aspect. Do you tend to hold on to any of the packaging, or are you a box collector as well?
Yeah, so all of the jumbo pins that come in the boxes, I save those, and then if it's a themed backer card, limited edition with a collection, I'll keep those. But if it's just a regular open edition card or the cards doesn't look that special, I'll pitch those. And then I just have a big binder, or not binder, like a bin, the storage bin,
Yeah.
and I throw all the backer cards in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I keep all the little the rubber stops too, because
Oh yeah, of course.
yeah.
Is there any like difference between them? Do you have to separate them because this stopper goes with that, or because I mean most of the stoppers are all the same on most of the
Yeah,
pins, right?
they're all the same.
They
Yep.
haven't changed over the years, or
No, they're still the same. Black Mickey head little
yeah,
stopper there.
yeah, yeah.
They did have the circle ones, which I have one here. Yeah, just like the plain circle ones. These were for Marvel and Star Wars pins, just the plain circle.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Um,
that's probably I believe that's what's on mine.
Yeah, but they're actually getting away from this now, and they're using the Mickey head for even Marvel and Star Wars pins. So yeah,
Fair enough. I guess if you've already got the mold and you're already making them, probably easier to just do the one design,
yeah, exactly.
and also for branding. But
Hmm.
that's the I was because that's the thing I was thinking about is with all those little backing stoppers, if they had different designs or different, if they changed over the years, whether you would have to keep them separate in case you ever decide to sell them off, and someone's like, "Hey, this isn't actually the stopper that goes with
Yeah,
that pin."
right.
If you've got an obsessed collector that
Oh yeah.
have exactly the right backer on it.
Luckily, they're all the same. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. What would you say is the most you've spent on a pin so far?
Ooh, on a single pin or a
Yeah,
collection?
on a single pin. Well, I mean,
On
you
a
can tell me
single.
both if you want. If you,
Yeah, okay. A single pin, I would say the most I ever spent. Whew, around $300.
nah, that's not too
Yeah,
bad. I guess that's not
yeah,
too
it's not
bad.
bad. It was for a I take that back. So yeah, for my personal collection, $300. It was for a big Maleficent dragon pin, and then I recently did. Well, this was like a partnered giveaway I did with the company Whatnot, but I didn't pay for this. We gave away a Figment profile pin, which was valued at $1,200.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but they thankfully paid for that. I just did the sponsorship around it. So that was probably the most expensive single pin that I like helped buy. But then I purchase pin collections all the time for store inventory, and the most expensive collection I bought was $5,600.
How many pins was that?
Uh, how many was it? I forget. This was years ago. This was probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
It was a lot. It was a few hundred pins, but they were rare. Like they were really, really nice pins. I
Nice.
want to say like around 500 or 600 pins.
Do you have a lot of people that contact you through the blog saying, "Hey, I'm looking to get out of collecting, and would you be interested in buying my
It's
collection?"
honestly, it's almost every single day.
Wow.
I can't buy them all, so like I tell them to because it's just too much. There's too many pins that I have, so I tell them to go to our Facebook group and try to sell them there.
Okay.
Because a lot of people that they they got into the hobby and then they want to sell their collection for whatever reason, they want to get out, and most people don't want to spend the time to sell each pin individually, and they just want to dump it real quick,
Yeah.
get some cash back and just dump their whole collection.
Yeah.
So that's where I we'll purchase it from them. But yeah, it's just it's definitely weekly. A few times a week, people message me.
Wow. I mean, you'd have to start a whole different business almost, like to
I know. It's too much.
employ someone to clean them and store them and send them out. Yeah, it could be a whole extra side hustle that you could get going there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that it would be a lot, especially when you're dealing with hundreds of pins or thousands of pins in some of these collections as well.
Yep. Exactly.
What's the most expensive pin you've ever seen?
Oh, my friend actually owns this pin. It's from an artist back in the day, Elizabeth Gomes. I think, yeah, her name is Elizabeth Gomes. And this pin was it's called the Sprite Fairy, which I think is from I might be wrong on this. It's either from Fantasia or Tinkerbell or something. I don't know. It's a Disney fairy called Sprite, and that's what the pin is of. It's a pretty big pin.
Okay.
Beautiful, gorgeous pin. But it was valued at $14,000.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was actually true. If someone would actually pay for that, I know it's at least $10,000. I would say.
Well, what's the most you've seen someone pay for a pin? I guess that would probably be a better. Because value can be subjective, right? But
yeah, exactly.
What's the most you've seen someone actually pony up for a pin?
I'd say a grand or two for a WDI profile pin, either a Disney villains profile or a Disney princess gold frame. All WDI, which is, it's a entity of pins that cast members can buy, Disney employees. Those are very expensive pins, and they're very sought after.
Very rare by the sounds of it.
Yeah, they're always low edition size, usually LE250 or LE300.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously have to really love a character to pay that much for a pin.
Exactly. You better really be into it.
Yeah. I mean, I say that as someone who's paid a couple $1,000s on a statue.
Yeah.
I've spent silly money on some things in my collection, but at the same time,
it's the collector way. I mean,
it's the collector way. If you love the character enough and it means something to you, then I guess money is not as important. If you want something for the collection, but yeah, no, that's great. Look, I've had a really cool time talking to you, Ryan. I think we should wrap it up here.
Yeah, same here. Thank you.
We could geek out about the parks forever.
And, I know, we can keep going on and on.
But I am really like interested in the whole pins experience, because it is a whole different side of collecting. And I think if for anyone who's looking to go down that rabbit hole, then obviously, you are a wealth of knowledge for those people, and they can go to your place, like the blog and the podcast, to find out. So the way I always end is to let people plug their socials and let people know where can they go and learn all about Disney pins.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the website's just DisneyPinsBlog.com, and then that's the same on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It's all just Disney Pins Blog, the same handle on all social. Just started a TikTok as well. I'm not that great at it, but I think I have 2 videos on there.
Okay, well, if anyone wants to go see those two videos, you are on TikTok. So there you go.
Yeah,
but otherwise, definitely check out the blog, check out the Instagram page, give Ryan a follow over there. If you're interested in Disney, if you're interested in pins, then that's definitely where you should be. And I know that there's thousands of people there already. Keep up the great work. I think people like yourself in the community is what's needed, to help that passion go forward for a lot of people and being a great resource. So thank you for the work that you do for everyone who's Disney obsessed as well.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you for reaching out and having me on.
No, my pleasure. If you liked the episode, please consider following or subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also join me on Instagram at Collecting Heroes, where you can see photos of the collections of the people that I'm talking to, as well as some of my own.